to my channel. I am your host, the Witty Shrew. For today's video, I've decided to teach what I call an improved introduction to computer programming. I'm going to make use of creating functions and calling functions in something called a main function instead of just writing the standard hello message alone. And this tutorial is still aimed towards a beginner in computer programming. If anyone watching is a bit more advanced, don't worry, you can still watch along, and maybe you'll even learn some better practices for utilizing an algorithm. But just know that this is going to be some fairly basic stuff. Okay, so in most cases, when someone is learning a new subject at a school or university, they're exposed to definitions. And we will begin this video here today learning some terminology. And you can pause them and read them, or if you want to better digest some of this information, you can pause it and type it out. But that's not mandatory. You don't have to do that. But by all means, I do recommend pausing the screen here and taking a good look at all of them, and just know that there are 12 of them. I've scrolled down to the bottom there, so make sure you get them off if you want to type them up. I'm not going to include the definitions file in the upload because I encourage the use of learning by writing or typing something out. Okay, but anyway, I digress. So, let's get on to what a Helloworld program is, because that's what we're going to be making today. And we're going to be using a program called Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017. It's free to download. There's probably versions of it you can pay as like a pro upgrade or a premium or something like that. But we're just using the free version. You don't have to worry about paying anything. It's absolutely free, the version we're going to be using. And we're going to be installing the C++ module whenever we get it going. But that's going to be in the next video. Today, I'm just going to show you guys what an algorithm is and explain what a Helloworld program is. So, a Helloworld program is typically the very first computer program that a beginning developer usually creates. It's sort of like a hello message to the world of computer programming. And we will begin not by creating the program at first, but like I said, we're going to be designing an algorithm. You can think of an algorithm sort of like a blueprint or recipe. For example, whenever someone makes a casserole, they usually follow a recipe. Whenever a building is constructed, it is usually done so by the guidance of a blueprint. So you can think of an algorithm as sort of like a blueprint or recipe. It's something we're going to follow to make an application. But in this scenario, we play both the drafter and the constructor, building both the algorithm and the application. Okay. So, let's get this algorithm rolling here. I've actually already typed mine up. If you guys want to type it up yourself, or if you just want to pause the screen and take a little screenshot of it, you can do that if that makes you more comfortable. Just, I suggest typing it out, but everyone's got their own way of learning. So, what we're going to do is we're going to cover each of these steps here. We're going to go through them one by one and we'll sort of explain what's going on. And these steps, I typed them up in something known as comments. And we'll get into comments here when we're making our program. We're actually going to move these from the algorithm, copy them from the algorithm, and we're going to put them in our program. But comments, and these are single line comments, and what they are is they are text, numbers, symbols, anything you want to put that proceeds, not precedes, but proceeds these two backslashes. So you got to have two trailing backslashes there, and then your content. 2 trailing backslashes, and then your content. And that's how a comment works. And when you put comments in a program, they are ignored by something called the compiler. Okay. And we're just going to take a look here at the first step, and it's what's called a header file. We're going to create one, and we're going to name it for the first step. And like I said, for this tutorial, we will be using Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017, and I'll show you how to get that software going in the next part of the video. In step 2 here, we are going to be writing our preprocessor statements. These will be processed before compilation occurs, and they will be either native imports or third-party imports, or imported files that we create. And then the preprocessor statements could also include some things like macros and conditions, but we're not going to cover macros and conditions or anything like that for the preprocessor in today's video, because this is a beginner tutorial. In step 3, we will be creating a function that has a type known as void. And void means nothing, no type. So you can think of it as absolutely no type at all. Okay, and when you create a function, you need to give it a type. So, because this function has no type, we have to call it void as its type. Alright, over here in step 4, we'll create something called a variable. Okay, and it is going to hold string data. It will be of the string data type, and what a string is, it will hold text. You can think of it sort of like a note in a bottle. Text is written on a note and then stored in a glass bottle. The glass bottle sort of acts as the variable, the container, and then the text that's on the note that's stored in the bottle, that's our message, our string message. And here in step 5, we will use the standard character output function. That sounds crazy, I know, but it's a part of something known as the IO stream. And that's a header file that we will import into our program. It's natively a part of the C++ language, and we will cover that shortly when we get to actually making the program in the next video. Okay, and we're going to use that to print our variable that we make in step 4. We're going to print that to the screen in step 5. Step 6 here, on to the void type function. Okay, it's going to be called pause, because it's going to be filled with a system of statements that allow the screen to be paused. That way, whenever our program's made, we can actually read what's on the screen without that program closing, because if you don't include a way to pause the screen, then the program's just going to run. You're not going to be able to see that text that we put up there. But normally people use something for beginners called system pause and return 0. But I wanted to stray away from that and make it beginner friendly. So I think I found the middle ground, something not too complicated and something not too easy as well. So it's a middle ground, but it will be great for beginners to use, and it will allow us to pause the screen and read our awesome message that we make. Okay. Here in step 7, we're going to create a C++ file. We're going to give it a name. In step 8, we will include any preprocessor statements that we need. In step 9, we're going to create the main function. And notice here, well, it's not typed out, but its type will be something called int. The main function has a data type of int there. And what int stands for is integer. And integer is a data type that we will be covering that includes whole numbers, but it doesn't have any numbers with decimals, just whole numbers like 0, 1, 2, 3, from a range of a very, very low negative number to a very high positive number for integers. Okay, in step 10 here, inside our main function, we're going to call our void type functions that we made. One of them is going to be for our message, and the other is going to be for pausing the screen, called pause. And then because we're using an integer type for the main function, and quite typically the main function is usually of type int, quite typically, it's not mandatory, but it's customary to return 0. Will the program still run without it? Yes. Will it run with it? Yes. It's just a customary practice. Because we're using int main, we should return a whole number. And because we don't really need anything that we have to return, we just return 0 as a customary practice. Okay. And that's the algorithm. In the next video, keep an eye out for that. We're going to be downloading Microsoft Visual Studio Community 2017, going the free route, getting the C++ extensions, and actually start making our application by moving these steps from this algorithm here and copying them into our program. And then from there, we will start writing code. So, thanks for watching. Please, 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 please like and subscribe, and have mercy on me, as this is my first video ever. So show some love and support. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Feel free to leave some comments below. Tell me how much of a train wreck I was, or tell me how much you liked it. Either way, have fun. Have an excellent day.